Good day. I have some predictions for 2019. So here we go. The first one is about mainstream media. And this is inevitable. It's not hard to predict this at all. We will see the further death of mainstream media because they lie. They have been lying for years. They are hiding stories. And I'm sure you noticed this, how they over-focus on certain stories, taking attention away from other stories. And we have an awful example of this here in Sweden in 2018. There was this Danish guy, he killed a female Swedish journalist in a submarine. It was a terrible story. And mainstream media, they talked about this for weeks and weeks. And they were sort of drooling over the details on how this poor woman was killed. And then, as a comparison, we have this recent story. The Danish woman and the Norwegian woman who was decapitated in Morocco. You know, they didn't even mention the fact that they were decapitated. And they even suggested that it was illegal to share the video on how these poor women were killed. This is what they do. They are involved in disinformation. And we see it, you know, Trump is the perfect example. And the climate change and Islam, you know. And Bolsonaro, the Brazilian president. They talked about him this morning on the news. It was silly, really silly. So I think alternative media will further establish itself as the only real source for truth. Not everything on alternative media is true, of course, but people will know that if you want the truth, you will have to go to alternative media. And people will be even more skilled knowing how to find it, the truth, I mean. Yeah. This is not hard to predict. Alternative media will be extremely important in 2019, of course. Now I have some more predictions, and these are tougher, all right? Globalists, they will look even sicker in 2019. They will look more desperate. It will be very hard to find a globalist laughing. It will be a terrible year for the globalists. And the nationalists will look even healthier than before. That's my prediction. Sweden will get a globalist government in 2019. I'm certain about this. Not hard to predict this one. But 2019 will be the year for nationalism in Sweden. It will establish itself as the only sensible alternative. Because this government that we are getting here in Sweden, they will do a very, very poor job. And they will not solve any problems. So, there you go again. Right. And, you know, the globalists will use 2019 for this final attack, this desperate attack. Yes, they will try to save whatever they achieved earlier. And this will be the United Nations, the EU, and I think the German government. These three, they will go sort of all in 2019. It will be a desperate attack on this civilization. Okay, Juncker, Jean-Claude Juncker. These are harder predictions, but this is what I think. Jean-Claude Juncker will fall over, physically, at least 3 times in 2019. Guy Verhofstadt, he will appear even crazier in 2019. And his colleagues will ask him to stop making speeches. Emmanuel Macron will resign and he will be replaced by another globalist. This new one will be less arrogant yes. But he will still be a globalist puppet. Justin Trudeau, he will lose the election and he will be remembered as the most embarrassing Canadian president ever. And finally, Hillary. Hillary, they will pump her up with medication and try to make her run again. This is my prediction. But they will eventually give up because her body, finally collapses. Those are the predictions. Okay, be good. Bye.